Ladies and gentlemen, I'm still here on this morning. Your hatred that has been perpetrated by evilness your whole entire life. Who am I speaking to? I'm talking about white people in America. All of you. You have been fed nothing but hatred from your leaders who have embraced evil. And they have you so upset and hating black people so much till you just don't want to see black people live. And in what you have done, you have allowed your Pharaoh, the man that God had sent Moses down in Egypt land to tell him to get off those people, to take his knees off the people's neck. Now that same Pharaoh has his knees on America's neck, simply because you accepted that hate. You accepted them doing it to black people because it said it did something for you. It gave you privilege. Gave you privilege. Now you have allowed that, because of that, because of your hatred, and because Barack Obama was president of the United States, your hatred was so infueled until now you have allowed the Pharaoh of the Egypt, the evil Pharaoh, to get on that throne in the United States government. And now, as you see down in Portland, what you saw was a Navy veteran, a person who fought and gave his life for this country, submitted himself to this country, beat down by people that you could not even identify. Now, usually, where those people come from that you cannot identify are not Americans. They are usually people from other countries that are helping, just like they did in Germany. These are people probably that have been slipped in from Russia, probably slipped in from North Korea, probably slipped in from the Philippines, probably slipped in from China. These are people that come from societies that are under these dictatorships, authoritarian governments. They come in. This is why you don't see them. This is why you can't identify them. And your president is bragging about what he is doing, and he is beating you down. Now he's not just beating black people down. He's going to beat your butt down. Because what? Power don't give a darn about anything that it can't use. See, they've used you to the point. You white people, listen to me good. That evilness has used you to the point that you have become so anti-life, so anti-love, that you have put on the throne your own destruction. Your own destruction. The guy in the streets beating you down, talking about what he's going to do. He's going to do. When you needed the viruses, when you needed masks, when you needed PPE, when you needed other resources to deal with this virus, he act like it didn't even exist. But now, right now, you give him the authority to act like he's somebody. So he's going to go and put out power on you. To hell with you when you needed a mask. To hell with you when you needed a ventilator. But as soon as he had the authority or the right, figured that he can get away with it, he went and brought in some people with sticks to break your legs. In America, you got the right to protest. You got the right to stand up and say, I'm fed up with you. Every kid got a right to tell their parents they're fed up with them. In American citizens stand up and say, you running this government, you have failed us, and we're in the streets protesting. And now the devil comes up and get people, some other agents of Satan, to get sticks and break your legs, to beat you down, to put pepper spray on you, tell you to shut the hell up and take this stuff. And what can you do about it? You created this monster. You created this monster. This is why I say to all of those of you who might have a little bit of morals to your life, there's a chance for you to be righteous. And the only way for you to avoid this is to exert your righteousness. And that means that everything that God has prepared for every citizen in this country, really he prepared it for every citizen on earth. But since you have to start local, every citizen in this country must be guaranteed the benefits of life. I'm not talking about what the founding fathers said. I don't give a stink what the founding fathers said. I'm talking about what God said. All individuals require food. And anybody that is denied food is because the devil did it. Now, what do I mean when I say the devil did it? I mean the devil decided to take some food away and leave people without it. That's one. That's step one. The step two is that the rest of the folks who had food didn't care. Step three, the others didn't feel they could do anything about it because they had nobody to lift them up and give them the proper information. They didn't get it from the church. You see how the devil snuck in? All of a sudden, not all people have housing. Why? Because the devil decided that they weren't. Gave some people, they call privilege, gave them houses, all right? That was the first thing that was wrong. The second thing that was wrong is that the other people who had housing felt good about those people who didn't have housing. Yes, they accepted it. And most of them might have called themselves good people, but they didn't do anything about other folks who didn't have housing. What about education? Well, the devil gave some of the people education, privilege, and said the others didn't need it. This is what made the privilege better. And the privilege accepted that, accepted people not having education. Oh, it took, 400 years? All of this time while we were suffering. Black people and people of color were suffering. White people were putting up with it. All this time while black people were suffering, white people put up with it. And now the suffering that has been stomped on black people is now being stomped on you white people. Stomped on you white people, and you cannot do anything about it. And you think just because you shift from a Republican Party to a Democratic Party that that's going to make a difference? No way, Jose. And just because you get a black person instead of a white person, you think that's going to make a difference? No way, Jose. You want something better, you got to get something better. And if you want something better than the devil, it ain't man, it's God. And if you can't connect with God, you better hope you can find somebody who can. But if you got to go look for somebody who can connect with God, there probably is nobody that is, because you don't have to find a person that's connected with God. You know. Why do you know? Because he's standing up to make sure that everybody got food, standing up to make sure everybody got housing, standing up making sure that everybody got education, standing up making sure that everybody got health care. And you know he's doing it because he got a record to prove it. He's been standing up against the systems. He's been standing up against the government. He's been advocating somebody to let him in. He's been going to jail and prisons for you. And he's talking to you right now. And I guarantee you, when you go to polls in November and vote, you're not going to vote for this guy. You're not going to vote for Eddie Marcus Carr. The only way you can do it is to write his name in. That's one requirement. But before you can write his name in, you got to hope that he's the right one. You know Trump isn't. You know Biden isn't. So what are you going to do? This is Judgment Day. What are you going to do? It's in your hands, ladies and gentlemen. Until next time, Eddie Marcus say goodbye.